Hey Womblers, this week we're off to Borough Market. This is our 21st Womble. Let's do it. So Borough is in Zone 1. It's got two platforms. It opened in 1890, so it's an old one. It falls under the local authority of Southwark and it's got one line. It's on the Northern line. It's a cool area, lots to see and do around here. It's one of my favourite areas actually. I really do love Borough. So let's go and explore and have a little look around, shall we? The station itself's pretty run-of-the-mill, you know, the usual, the labyrinth, the lifts, normal sort of ticket hall, nothing of note or of interest, black and white tiling, I'm guessing because it's Northern Line. Lovely view as you come out, you can see the Shard and you can see this beautiful church, which is where we're off to next. Here's our trusty Go Jauntly walking map. As ever, these walks are available to download free from the Go Jauntly app. Not sponsored, I just like it, I think it's a good app. So we're going to come out the station and then we're going to have a little womble around Borough and see what we can find. We're on the hunt for blue plaques, history, street art, all sorts today, so let's go do it. Opposite Borough Station you'll find George the Martyr Church, which is a Grade 2 listed church. Charles Dickens used to live nearby. Next door was the Marshalsea prison, the debtors prison, where Dickens's dad was imprisoned. He got imprisoned there for being in debt to a baker, of all things. Inside the church there's a stained glass window which features Little Dorrit, because Amy Dorrit, the main character in Little Dorrit, lived around here in the book, and obviously Dickens used it because it was an area he was familiar with. On the day I went, there was a service going on, so I couldn't get some footage of the stained glass window, but I'll insert a picture of it. There was a lovely girl in there, very welcoming, very warm, who welcomed me in and invited me along to light a candle and join the service. They were lovely in there. And then inside the churchyard, you've got the remains of the Marshalsea prison wall. It's the only part of the prison that remains. The rest of it was all, gotten rid of, and now it's the site is now a library. But this used to be one of London's, most notorious prisons. It was opened in 1373 and it closed in 1872. But people were put in here for being poor. It was the debtors' prison, and over half of England's prisoners in the 18th century were in jail because they were in debt. And they were run privately for profit, so they were mainly functioned as extortion rackets. Okay, from George the Martyr Church, we're going to head up Borough High Street, heading northeast towards the George Inn. Lots of Georges around here. Let's go and check it out. Okay, here we are at the George Inn, which was built in 1676. It's owned and leased by the National Trust. It's a Green King pub, but it's actually owned by the National Trust. And it's the only surviving galleried inn in London. It's Grade 1 listed, and Dickens used to drink in here. And it's referred to in Little Dorrit as well. It's absolutely stunning around here. You can see the Shard over the back, which is a lovely backdrop. So you've got that lovely mix of old and new that I like. Lovely cobbled street, really, really beautiful. It was shut when I went down there because it was quite early, but yeah, great little spot. From the George, we're going to cross over the road and head over into Borough Market. Just as you head into Borough Market, you'll see this pub, which is the Globe, and that little window there is where Bridget Jones's flat was. So this is quite a famous little pub. It was built in 1872, so it's kind of Victorian style. I haven't been inside, so I don't know what it looks like inside. But yeah, they used it for the film set for Bridget Jones's Diary. And now we're in the lovely Borough Market. I love this market. This market we're looking at now dates back to 1756, although there's been a market on this site going back a lot longer than that, back to Roman times, possibly even longer than that. Henry Rose designed the current building in the 1850s, and then there's an Art Deco entrance that was added in 1932. But I love this market. It's a food market, essentially. You can get everything and anything here. There's like specialist butchers, there's hot and cold food stands, lots of like shops where you can buy bread and bits and pieces. It is fab. I love it. I've always loved it. Oh, they're famous for the chocolate strawberries as well. There's a blue plaque there because obviously, it's iconic. My dad pointed out the other day that I use the word iconic an awful lot in my videos, so I'm trying not to use it, but how can you not use it when it comes to Borough Market? It is iconic. Sorry, Dad. Hi, Dad, if you're watching. We're heading out of the market now, but I just wanted to show you this. This used to be the roof of the floral court, the floral hall in Covent Garden, and it's a grade 2 listed structure, and they dismantled it and brought it over here. And I mean, it's absolutely beautiful, right? And then just across from the market, you've got a pub called the Market Porter, which is apparently haunted because in 1890, a guy called Flash Alf stabbed a guy called Edward Lamb in the eye, killed him, stabbed him in the eye with an umbrella. And apparently it's been haunted ever since. Death by umbrella. What a horrific way to go. Apparently he used it like a bayonet and stabbed him in the eye with it. On that note, I think we'll leave the pubs of Borough and go up to visit Southwark Cathedral. We're just walking past Borough Yards. It's really nice in there. We'll come back that way. And then we're going to go up Winchester Walk towards Winchester Cathedral. Here, you'll just go down the side of the market. You can see the Shard there. I love the juxtaposition between the old and the new. You know how I love it. This is a beautiful Gothic style building. Absolutely beautiful. It's grade 1 listed and it dates back to 1106. I mean, this isn't the original building. It suffered quite a lot of fire damage actually in 1212. There was a great fire in 1212. There was also a great fire in 1666. You know, London had a lot of fires. Fires were a problem before electricity was invented because obviously candles are problematic. They cause fires. And lots of London's older buildings have been lost to fires or World War II bombing. But anyway, this is Southwark Cathedral. Very, very beautiful. From Southwark Cathedral, we're going to head towards the river in search of a very famous ship. And here we've got the Golden Hinde, which was Sir Francis Drake's ship. Not this actual one. This is a replica. It's seaworthy, but it is a replica. The real one disintegrated in the 1600s. But anyway, this is a replica of the galleon that was captained by Francis Drake when he navigated the world in 1577. Took him a couple of years. He got back in 1580. It was originally known as the Pelican, and then it was renamed in honour of his patron, Sir Christopher Hatton, whose crest was a golden hind, which is a female red deer. From there, we're just going to take a few steps, which gets us out near Winchester Palace. Well, the remains of Winchester Palace. Okay, here we are at the remains of Winchester Palace. Not a lot remains of it. It's a scheduled ancient monument now, and it's under the care of English Heritage. Here you can see the beautiful rose window in the gable there. Absolutely stunning. It's got quite a dark past actually. The Bishop of Winchester was running a few dodgy schemes and profiteering off of sex workers in the area by taxing them. And actually the sex workers around here they got the nickname the Winchester Geese. And he was making money off them, taxing them. And there was a prison down the road, which we'll see shortly. And he was making money off that as well. So he was a bit of a dodgy guy, really. We'll talk more about the Winchester Geese a bit later when we visit Crossbones graveyard. Winchester Palace is right next to Clink Street, which gets us out by the Clink prison. And here we've got a lovely blue plaque for the Clink Museum, the most notorious medieval prison in London. There's been a prison here dating back prior to 1144. When I looked it up, it said it dates back as far as 860, which goes way back. But it burnt down in riots in 1780. But it's a notoriously bad prison. It's a museum now, and there's all sorts of torture equipment down there that you can go and have a look at. The street itself, Clink Street, is a lovely dark cobbled street that's actually featured in a couple of films. It's been in Doctor Who, it was in American Werewolf in London. The prison was owned by the Bishop of Winchester, who, as I mentioned earlier, was a bit of a dodgy guy, and he kept all the revenues from the prison, and he was running a bit of a racket. Men and women were imprisoned here, and he was running a brothel from the place. From the Clink Museum, we're going to head under Clink Tunnel on our way out to the Anchor Pub. Just under Clink Tunnel, we've got this lovely piece of street art by Jimmy C. I love this piece. Lovely mural of Shakespeare here. There's a few Jimmy C murals dotted around London. One of the most famous ones is the David Bowie mural in Brixton. And there's also a lovely one near Blackfriars Bridge, which I covered when I did Blackfriars, so check that out. Just along from there, you've got the famous Anchor pub, which dates back to Shakespearean times. It was from here that Samuel Pepys watched the Great Fire of London in 1666, and he wrote about it in his diary. And it was a favourite with river pirates and smugglers. I mean, it's a lovely pub. In 2008, it had a £2.6 million makeover, which is one of the most expensive refurbs in pub history. And Tom Cruise has also been in here. It was used to film Mission Impossible. There's a lovely vista over the Thames from here, and you get a great view of St Paul's from the beer garden. Lovely pub. From the Anchor pub, I headed back down south, down Park Street, which is quieter because I went at the weekends, and this whole area gets really busy and really hectic on a weekend. So I just headed down Park Street because it was quiet. And then I weaved in and checked out Borough Yards, but I didn't get any footage because it was just getting too busy. But if you go, I would recommend checking that out. I'm sorry there's no footage of it though. We're now heading down Park Street, which is next to Borough Market. This is a lovely street with some independent shops. They've got Bird and Blend tea shop down here, which I highly recommend. I do love this tea shop. They do a tea subscription box as well, which I subscribe to. Great teas, great little B Corp, lovely independent business. And at the bottom of that street, you've got this really quirky, cool building, which was the film set for Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. This was the flat they lived in when they realised they were living next to a couple of drug dealers. Also down Park Street is Neal's Yard Dairy. There's one of these down Neal's Yard, obviously, near Covent Garden. And there's a Monmouth coffee shop. Park Street's great, lovely little side street. Okay, we're just going to head under Red Cross Bridge Tunnel on our way to Crossbones Graveyard. Lovely light installation here by Ian Davenport. And then we've got another Jimmy C piece, Two Swans, which is beautiful. This appeared in 2019, I think. Lovely piece. And then just along from there, we've got this, which is the Roman Mosaic. So this was discovered in February 2022. So very recently, while they were digging up to build new homes, they found this, which is the most intact Roman mausoleum ever to be discovered in Britain. They found pottery down there, glass beads, bracelets, a bone comb, and I'll insert a picture of the mosaic that they found on the floor. But how amazing is that? And then just along from there is Crossbones Graveyard. I talked about this earlier when we were at Winchester Palace and we were talking about the Winchester geese. But basically, this is the burial ground for the outcast dead. So basically, the paupers, the prostitutes, the criminals weren't allowed to be buried in consecrated ground. And so they were just all piled up here. 15,000 graves here. I mean, this area it was formerly known as the Mint, and it was one of London's worst slums. And prostitution was rife on this side of the river because the laws were different over here, and people would cross the river using London Bridge or go over on the ferry and come over here because it was a theatre district. Shakespeare's Globe was over here, and it was also the red light district. It was like where everyone came for their entertainment. The land's owned by TfL, but it's a protected site because there's a charity called the Friends of Crossbones. They were set up in 2004 and they maintain the site and they protect it, and they hold a vigil on the 23rd of every month at 7 p.m. I went down there and I met two lovely volunteers that were working down there, and had a chat. And I'll put some information about this in the description box to learn and maybe even donate and support this little charity. And that, my friends, is a wrap for Borough. I'm trying to keep these videos, to around 10 minutes, no longer than 15 minutes. I can't cover everything in those time periods, but because the tube stations are quite close together in central London, you've got London Bridge nearby, you've got Southwark nearby. Anything I miss, I'll try and pick up when I do the other stations. We're back on Marshalsea Road now, just heading into Borough Station. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you next week. I do new stations every single Monday.